now, your not so esteemed hosts of the Progress Chronicles, John the Cockler and Michael Caesar Chavez.
Chaos is hanging around, put your ear to the ground, you shudder from the sound. The death machine ain't slowing down, it's gaining pound for pound. A gas mask is the couture in the summer of rage. They're building mass graves within the states. You and I, they'll vaccinate. They're preparing us for an all-out police state. Hush, hush, little child, your world is going wild. Can't trust another blood in your mind's eyes. Hush, little child, salvation's in your smile. Just wish I could be alive to see the whole ever rise.
Okay, I want to introduce you to our very first podcast. It's Saturday, October 19th. We are in our militarized bunker in the deep south of Brighton, Michigan.
Undisclosed location.
Undisclosed location. Yeah.
Other than the Brighton part.
So yeah, we're just going to go with the flow on this one. It's our very first one. We want to see how this goes, see how it records.
A beta test, if you will. We're just a couple of brothers that are interested in a lot of things. We're a very progressive part of our generation, and we're very open-minded to a lot of different things.
Don't let the progressive word scare many of you. It doesn't mean we're politically progressive, okay?
No. Progressive meaning open-minded.
I know
just a synonym for open-minded.
You caused a couple sweaty butt cheeks out there with the
Yeah,
progressive.
well, you know what? Those sweaty butt cheeks need to loosen up a little bit then.
Don't mind me sniffing. I'll be doing that throughout the entire podcast because I do have a cold. And
They're heavily spraying chemtrails today also.
no, our militarized bunker is very cold. It's cold when you get 60, 100 feet underground, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And the moisture is something to behold.
This is, I am a militia leader. I'm part of the Michigan. Could you imagine?
Oh, dude, NSA is listening to us
No,
already,
dude,
and this
listen.
hasn't even hit the internet.
Yeah, but listen, there is someone at this particular moment that is making their very first podcast too.
Yes, it is a movement
And he's got
that not everybody knows about yet.
This guy has got his own little secret army. He is militia man. You know what I mean?
He has all the AR-15s everybody's scared to death that are being bought.
Oh, I make fun of him now, but if the shit hit the fan, he'd be my best friend. I'd be like trying to trade all my cans of food to him.
Pretty much.
Protect me! Let me join your... What's the name of it? The demolition team? Hey,
Yeah.
What's that? There's a new bike. I swear, dude. You probably already know this. There's a biker bar in Whitmore Lake.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a club. It's next to the tavern, yeah.
What in the
yeah,
hell?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a bunch of guys that just, I think, enjoy motorcycles and hanging out. It's a club, so that it's exclusive. No one else can come. It's just them, man. They can talk about whatever they want, do whatever they want, ride their motorcycles, not care at the restaurants right there, and that's cool too. That's America. But and no one else is. It's a private club, man. It's a fraternity, you know. If you're frat-minded type.
How do I join this? Do I have to like sacrifice someone's firstborn or learn some top secret?
I would have no
Is
idea.
there some type of
I'm gonna tell you this.
initiation to this.
I've seen many of them, and you're not their type.
No.
Nope.
They
I don't
would
care
turn
what
me away in a
motorcycle you
heartbeat.
got. I don't care what motorcycle you got. You're not going to be part of it. You'll look like a poser immediately.
Why? Is there like what would make me stand out? Is there like a certain look?
There's a look, yeah. There's a look to people in all walks of life, and some of us that are, or if you're one that can size people up quickly in life, it's a good service to have for yourself, and if you can do that, I pick that up from these people.
They can size you up.
Yeah, I can size them up that like you're not part of their group there.
Well,
Or
like
you wouldn't be.
did they all take on like a certain like look? Like does Viagra do that to you?
No, they're the
Like if
actual. They're not the
you take
poser.
Viagra
They're not
for-
the poser bikers. They're the legit looking bikers. You know what I mean? They have the old, tattoo from the '80s.
Duck Dynasty beard or
Some of them, but the beers because they're anti. What do you want to say?
establishment.
Yeah, basically.
I don't
in
have
their
a
own
white
way.
collar job.
In their way, and we all, anybody that's anti-establishment, we all express it in different ways.
You know that I picked this up. It was interesting last year at a Detroit Tiger game. I'm just kind of looking around, sizing up my surroundings, if you will, and Nina had gotten tickets into like the suite. It's called the Players Club or the Champion Club or something like that. Well, anyway, a lot of people got money up there. Not us. We inherited. We got the tickets from someone. So I'm like sizing people up, and I'm like, do I stand out to them? Can they tell when they look at me? This guy don't got no money. You know what I mean?
That's a self-insecurity.
Oh,
and I have felt that emotion with you, but the key to confidence, and I've learned this recently in my life, my 30s, is even if you're not confident, you act like it and you will become it.
It is true. It is true.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a long-standing saying, but
there is a part of me that does stand out, though, that they do recognize. And then for the first time in my life, I recognized it. So it was kind of interesting. I had facial
What is
hair.
it? You have facial
hair. It's something that simple. Not just the mustache. I mean, you can get away with a goatee, the full goatee, and be in the business.
you think
world
you're looked
somewhere.
at differently with facial hair?
I definitely think in the business world it represents something.
See,
Now, if you roll in there with
Business
a beard
world.
like you got,
Business world.
but you've got an Armani $5,000 or $2,000. I don't even know what that
Yeah.
$2,000 suit or something.
Yeah,
but you've got that beard. People are like, Now they're really intrigued because you obviously are rolling in some money.
don't give a fuck that I
Don't
got
give
a
a
beard.
shit you got a
and
beard.
and I may have a meeting with a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah, it's intriguing then.
Yeah.
But some dude that comes in there with his Dockers and his nicely pressed white button-up shirt like I had with my sleeves rolled up, with my shaved bald head and my half a goatee, they're automatically thinking somebody gave this dude tickets. I'm telling you, man.
I know there are definitely going to be people like that, but I do not see that being the most people's first thought. And I'm going to tell you my experience with this, with what you're talking about. And there are many doctors that have full beards and different types of facial hair at the hospital that I work at, and I don't think that it's quite like that anymore. I think we're moving as humans in this society past physical stereotypes. It's everybody we associate with probably don't see color like that anymore, I don't think.
No, but you definitely see, like I look back at, honestly, this is how quickly things have changed. Like 10 years ago, I can remember, because when I had my old house, sitting in the kitchen, looking out the window, and thinking to myself, my gosh, man, because of the internet and computers and stuff, television, the whole world's come together finally. I love my Chinese brother. I love my Russian brother. I love my Iranian brother. You know what I mean? I'm like in this little happy la-la land. I was, seriously.
the connection of humanity.
I had this moment, yeah.
On a scale unimaginable.
I was young. I was healthy. I had this moment of like, just the world around me was a beautiful place.
It was a different world. It was a new world from when,
Now,
yes.
10 years later, dude, so much has happened. I mean, 9/11, obviously, game changer. Everything changed at that moment. And I knew it. That was the thing that was so crazy about it. When you watched it unfold on TV, you knew already. You already knew that you were witnessing history. You were witnessing the change of America. And for like a week after 9/11, dude, everybody slowed down on the highway. I mean, if you put your blinker on,
did not last long.
Oh yeah,
Did not last
if you put your blinker
long.
on, everybody lets you in.
Yep.
Let the old lady cut in front of you at the grocery store. Hey, how you doing? People talk to each other again.
In regards to that, there's a theory out there as far as it has to do with looking into the tribal aspect of Homo sapien, and there's a theory out there that we're not meant to be that connected to too many people. We're a tribal people, and we thrive better. They've done studies on tribes that are small tribes, and they're happier. There's no mental health disease. There's a lot of things that is so rampant in our society now, whether made up or not by by big pharma, that it's almost like we're not meant to be that connected with that many people.
There's probably a lot of truth to that. I agree with you on
Once
certain
again,
levels.
it's just a point of view. It's not
I
me
would
saying
rather.
that.
That was my 10 years ago moment, man. Where everything was just like, oh my God, the whole world's so butterfly. You know what I mean? I loved how everything was coming together at that point. But now, man, it's like so divisive. The media is so divisive. Politics is so divisive.
On purpose.
And it's all, there's so many different ways to look at it. Like, why is it so divisive right now at this moment in time? Is it because I'm at this age in my life where
priorities have changed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Since
where you get more, when you have a family and you have kids.
You're not innocent now.
Like I do. Yeah, you're not, the world's not an oyster anymore. It's a giant turd that you got to hack your way through till you get to the other side.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And it's what you make of it. Not to be a pessimist, but it's what you make of it.
Well,
and it really is, because if you don't believe that and you just keep going about this world like that, with that attitude, and I'm guilty of it, it won't change for you.
Yeah.
It won't change for you.
No,
you got to call it into being.
Yeah, you do. You have to believe in it and believe in yourself, and you know what I mean. And there's a lot of truth to that. Like, if you really do have the outlook of your glass is half full rather than half empty, you try to become less a pessimist about things and become more optimistic. Life is better that way. It honestly is. That's why you gotta have such balance, because I am a conspiracy-aholic to a certain degree, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I'm
Mia
listening to
points
all
too.
the-
Mia points too.
I'm constantly downloading it because I work in a factory. I'm doing a mindless.
It challenges your imagination.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you have to believe in it. It's just that, once again, when we introduce ourselves, we are open-minded. No matter what we say in this podcast, it's not that we definitely believe one thing or another. It's the open debate is what is so-called the awakening now, which people are getting. I think things have always went on. Things have obviously always happened, like 9/11. There's always been these big events. But somebody halfway around the world knows when you stub your toe 2.5 seconds later. As soon as you press the button send, somebody knows.
Yeah.
And we're not used to that. It's that the technology that we have now is in its infantile stage in an infantile human being. So there's too many pitfalls with that.
Well, it's like technology right now. How do I, like, from my perspective, now a lot of the things that are out there that I believe are out there technology-wise, that, I mean, maybe it could be just some dude that I given myself to on a podcast or in a DVD that's explained this technology to me, and maybe I bought it hook, line, and sinker, and it actually is a fraud, and this some dude's dream. You know what I mean? That he's putting out there as reality. But I believe we're at a point right now with humanity that the average Joe, the average person, actually could handle this technology better than our so-called elites, the people that actually have control of it. because it's almost like we've found fire. We've realized how to recreate fire whenever we want it, to use it however we want it.
Yeah.
But we're so dumb that we still stick our arm in the fire over and over.
Yeah.
And so to some people, it becomes so dangerous that they wish the fire was never created because it
Our
burns
technology
my arm.
on a different sort of plane is more advanced than we are.
What? Well, why create?
We can handle it, but how should I say this? We can handle it, but it's like the Wild West. It's like the Wild West. There's no standards set in, and it can be used for technology and internet can be used for good or bad, and so it wants to be suppressed by people that are scared to move on from the old ways because it can be used for bad. But the good can far, far exceed the bad benefits of it. It's people waking up and not letting it be used against us as a whole.
It is, and the political awakening has begun. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I pay a great deal of my time, my free time, is paying attention to what's going on politically around me. And that's what I think plays into somewhat of like a gloomy picture too, because like politics, when you delve into that arena, it's so dirty. It's so nasty, man. I mean, you're jumping into a toilet bowl of shit. It's what around it. Now, why would you do that? Most people are like, dude, don't do it. I don't even go there. I don't care who the president is. I don't care who the mayor is. I don't care what's
because it's
going
overwhelming.
on.
It's overwhelming. They're so manipulated.
Nasty. It's so nasty and it's so dirty that, and you're like, I get it when you feel that way. I get it, man. You know, when I'm swimming around and I'm like climbing over a turd, and I guess, I mean, I wish I wasn't in there either. But because that arena literally determines my lifestyle.
Or does it?
What I can.
You say a conspiratorial, or does it?
What can I? Well, it does, because if I choose, I'm not saying I would, but if I choose, for example, like, hey man, I want to grow a marijuana plant in my backyard, man. You know what I mean? I want to just have that there, so on that rainy day, nothing's going on, I can smoke a little bit of weed, makes my back not hurt as bad, and watch this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have a saying that. I just meant that.
So that's
as far as our leaders go. Who knows? There's so much corruption that who knows that the votes are being casted the right way. It's exactly. So that's what I thought you meant. But yeah, I agree with you. You're on a different scale of more not community laws, but laws that have to do with closer to your regional laws, as far as if marijuana is legal to.
Well, to have the state,
grow.
even the states will legalize certain, like they've been, there's been a big push with marijuana recently. The states have legalized, a lot of states have legalized it for medicinal purposes and somewhat recreational, at least lessen the penalties for that.
Yeah, decriminalize it.
There's still this overbearing, unconstitutional, really. I mean, honestly, because the state rights first and then the federal.
Yeah.
And they come
it
in.
It only overrides it in the state of war, right? Or in a time before is the only time that the federal exceeds state law, I believe.
Something like
that. I could be wrong.
Yes. And they basically, is like a mafia, like a gangster type organization, like the DA, ATF. They basically, you read about these articles. Certain little establishments will have their business going for medicinal purposes. They're fully licensed and insured and all this stuff. And the federal agencies, even though like California state law will be that they're allowed legally to do this, and they're well within all the laws and regulations, the federal will come in, a narcotics unit, ATF, DEA. They'll come in and they will separate. They'll kick the doors down. They'll come in. They'll confiscate all the marijuana. They'll empty out all the cash registers. They'll tell the owner, hey, bad boy, smack him on the arm a couple times, give him some more fines. He just lost all of his product. He just lost all of his cash, and he's fined. Okay. He still got his business. His license, he has to go through a special process more than likely to get it back.
Yeah.
For what? It was legal. What they were doing within the region they were in, but this entity that picks and chooses and decides who's right and wrong.
It's a mafia.
From their yes, it is.
It's a mafia, and people don't want to believe that because they watch their Fox News and their Mitt Romney's going to save us. Obama's going to save us. No, they're all the same. And I wanted to get back to this point at the beginning of this political conversation, in that there is a connection between the highest that the 1%, the highest that you can get into business owning, billion-dollar companies. Those people and politicians. The only way that you can be a high-powered politician is if you've sold your morals down the river. You don't get that high unless you have sold out and played ball and accepted money from corporations that you normally would not have. I don't think you get to that level without that.
There are a few that
Yes,
always.
always.
It seems
So I
at a
should never
federal level,
generalize.
it seems that they're completely honest and they try at least. But who knows? You know what I mean? They're all human. But yeah, it's definitely a den. It's become a den of thieves, and it's gotten so amoral and so corrupt that now it's pouring out so fast and so far that we're all here. It's almost on a daily basis we learn. You know what I mean, about some new political.
Oh yeah. More of the curtains revealed.
Yeah,
we see
more
more of the
corruption,
wizard. We see more of the wizard.
Skullduggery, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why do I jump in that turbo and swim around? You know what I mean? Why? A lot of
We've
people,
been conditioned to for generations.
you almost have to, because it's your survival to a certain degree. 'Cause
Yes.
These a-holes are willing to, their ideas, their laws, their regulations, their policies directly affect you in your life. And I mean, they can, with the stroke of a pen, they already taken upwards of your daily earnings from your job, on average, like 42%. On average.
An average of between 30
You know what I mean?
and
They're already
35%.
taking that, and with a stroke of their pen, dude, they could just one day decide, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
All these bills we ran up because of our black budgets and because of all of our skullduggery and all the shit that we're into, we got to up your taxes, man, because we owe a lot of people a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
So you working in that factory?
I heard something.
You got to give me more.
I heard something recently. We're still borrowing, so they don't have to raise the ceiling of the debt, or the debt ceiling rather, and we still borrow, and we borrow money to pay back to companies or the countries that we just borrowed the money from. It's people that are waking up, and some get it and some don't, and some that get it don't get it to the extent of the scale that it's at right now. It's out of control, and it is at the point where it needs to be started over in no two-party system. And we live in a day of technology. We should be voting on everything that affects us somehow safely, which I don't know how to do, obviously. And that's the biggest challenge. But we should be voting on the internet and have access to it for free, like many other countries. That's suppression. We can do it. The amount of money that we spend on black ops and military conquests that are unnecessary. And at the very least, they don't even tell us the truth to say that it's for their gain. It's for materials, earth materials. They tell you that you need to make a sacrifice, and all we've done is sacrifice. If we didn't have them going to war all the time, we could, not to be a hippie, but utopia is reachable. A utopia is reachable.
What do you mean, dude? Those hundreds of billions of dollars on bombs and warfare,
Yeah.
and that can never go towards anything good.
I know, one $3 million bomb. What could that do?
I mean, how many houses?
If they did make
how
that
many
$3
houses?
million
How many
bomb.
parks? How many playgrounds? How many badass amusement parks with unbelievable technology could you make for the kids for free with hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars?
Yeah.
It's sad. Hey, you have Netflix still?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You have to. It just came out this past Tuesday. You have to watch Dirty Wars
I'll
by
check it
Jeremy
out.
Scahill.
I'll check it out. Oh, I like Jeremy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen some of his
It's
stuff.
his
and,
documentary. I mean, it's like film quality. It's emotional.
Colbert had him on one time. Colbert's an excellent interview, and
He's-
especially very sharp and witty.
Oh, yeah.
And he keeps up with that kind quickly.
It's basically about covert black ops unit, like an elite squad unit, if you will, that answers directly to the White House.
Bypassing Congress.
There's not necessarily a chain of command. I mean, it is.
Any active war should go through Congress.
Right.
And they're bypassing that.
Yeah,
it's
it's
totally unconstitutional.
Yeah, it's not like there's scheming and wargaming going on in the Pentagon over like these missions and stuff. I mean, it's directly coming from the man himself.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
drone strikes.
And it starts off, it's so interesting. It starts off in Iraq. And, you know, it's the Bush era, and it's the end of the Bush era. And I'd say a great percentage of Americans are starting to wake up to like, dude, what's going on? We like the new Nazis or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is going on? They want to create more. They want to go to more war. They want to get involved in more wars now. You know what I mean? So everybody started waking up, and his approval rating just absolutely plummeted. So that's basically where the documentary starts off.
Yeah.
When it gets into this special operation, it began there. And what was something that was these special operations taking place in Iraq and somewhat in Afghanistan at that time. Do you remember the deck of cards when that war kicked off after 9/11, when we invaded Iraq? Do you remember how they had the deck of cards that was like the ace of spades was Saddam Hussein, and the next general was the ace of hearts, and well, that's where the elite squad actually started off and was created for, was this deck of cards. Knock them all out, collect all these cards, boys, go get them. You know what I mean? And they did.
Yeah, you know. And
well, hang on 1 second.
Okay.
So it ends up starting off there. And you're saying, okay. I mean, it's not cool, but this little elite squad's taking off this deck of cards who they claim is like the worst dudes in the whole world. You know what I mean? They're tipping over incubators with babies and eating their liver right there. These guys are so bad. So you're like, okay, I could see maybe taking these guys out in the comfort of their own home, you know. But it turns into, now it's evolved all the way to the point where it's like, oh, my buddy, like coming down from the top, man. Oh, like my buddy, this tin pot dictator over in Kenya, he's having some problems with this little warlord. You know what I mean? There's some drug money going on. There's a lot of, you know, a couple mil getting pushed around. You send the boys in. I mean, all over. At this point, I believe it's 42 countries. Because some of these guys speak up. They're retired now or whatever, and they like...
Yeah, they don't
they hide their identity.
They don't want to live with it any longer.
Yeah, they hide their identity, but they're willing to go on record and be interviewed and stuff. And there are certain areas they won't get into, obviously, but, you know, saying, hey, no, listen, man, what started off in Iraq, moved to Afghanistan, then Pakistan, then Yemen, then...
The 7 countries. If anybody knows about Wesley Clark.
They've went in and killed or taken out or taken something from 42 different countries. It's like this a little illegal, like, unbelievable, like, Cobra Commando type unit.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
You know what I mean?
And an interesting fact that is true, not to sound conspiratorial towards the government, but we have bases in over 100 countries. Now, imagine if a foreign country had a base on American soil. It wouldn't happen. But yet we can have one in over 100 countries, and the rest of, what do you think, all of America thinks that's okay? Because it's not. It's not. We could cut 85% of our military budget and still be the number one military power of the world. And you tell somebody, hey, we should cut military spending. That doesn't mean cut out the military. It means that we can get by on far, far less. So they always say follow the money. So therefore, if we're spending that much money on military conquest, how much do you think you're not being told? And that's your 30 to 35% that's going to that. And by the way, why are they not accountable for telling you where your taxes are going, other than the obvious that we're in a war?
No, it's true.
Sorry, this is me, and I talk about it all the time. I kind of switched to flip the script there, but not a lot of people know that.
Right.
They're like 85% of the military could be cut and still have the number one. I mean,
yeah.
It's hard to wrap your mind around it.
Well, dude, they're involved. They're involved in things. Like, I believe this is my somewhat computer YouTube education has gotten me to this point, to some of my beliefs. But I believe they're like upwards of 2 or 3 miles under the ground in 7 to 20 story buildings that are like the most disgusting, vile, technological, futuristic.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Demonic.
It's a possibility.
Things are going on where they're like, they're creating human hybrids. I mean, they're like, there's a half man, half dog down there. I mean, they're like genetically manipulating like humans and like seeing what they can get away with, what this does, what that does, creating superhumans.
Yeah.
Possibility, the ability to clone. I believe that's possible. I really do.
Well, they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
the first clone baby. The first clone baby has already been born.
I mean, yeah, I know. That's what they're telling us. You know what I mean? But I believe
I get you.
Yeah, that first baby was born like 50 years ago, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're.
But to most people, or to not most people, I should say. I should never I generalize a lot, and I shouldn't. Everybody, I say people and everybody, and I actually don't mean that. I just mean a majority. In my humble opinion.
I got a little thermostat in here. Ooh, it's getting a little
chilled.
warmer in here. It's 56
Oh, really?
degrees in
Yeah,
here.
dude.
This coffee tastes good right now.
It did.
It's gotten a little cold, but
Like I'm having a hard time speaking, and because of the coldness.
so didn't you want to talk? You wanted to talk about DMT, dude. Bring up your DMT.
Well, I've already corrected you once on
try
that.
it. This is
No.
Why
okay.
you want to?
See, you've totally started this part off wrong already.
Well,
it wasn't just DMT, and I didn't say that I want to
change.
try it. I thought that psychedelics could be a great discussion. Just on many different levels. I mean, obviously, the term psychedelics is so broad, and people's definitions vary, and it's very broad. And I guess I don't know. I just it's an interesting topic, and I don't have my mind made up on it. And if someone had a joint with DMT in it right now, that doesn't mean I would do it. I believe that like anything could be anything that God made. He put on this earth that is a plant, a natural plant without over processation to make it something else.
Well, there is a synthetic version of it also.
That is the kind that's smoked.
Okay.
Yeah, dimethyl I'm gonna fudge that up. But there's also DMT is present in ayahuasca, which is a brew that's been done for thousands of years in the Amazon. That over thousands of years, they took this one leaf that contains DMT, and then they took a vine that's a monoamine oxidizer, which, when you just take DMT, everything has DMT in it. If you went out there and ate some grass, it has DMT in it. But the stuff in your gut, monoxamine, I'm fucking that up, but it's something like that. You know what I mean, if you've ever heard of it. And it kills it in your gut. It makes it inactive. So they found this vine in the Amazon, shamans, that combats that or negates that. It makes it orally active. Smoked DMT, synthetic DMT, lasts about 15 minutes. But ayahuasca is like a journey. It lasts 4 to 6 hours, and you purge. You shit and puke yourself, most people, and you purge, and you wish you were dead.
That sounds
and it
like
gives
a
you a
great
life
time,
experience to show you who you are. To show you who you are, to
That
gain
sounds
an
like high
insight.
school. Why do I want to eat a vine?
No, it's not a recreational thing, and that is the thing. It's not a recreational thing. There's a church And the
No,
Southwest,
it's a spiritual experience.
yes, it's
supposedly.
a spiritual journey. And there's one that's called ibogaine that has been shown to be highly successful at curing opiate addiction. And they've been doing it with ayahuasca too. I've seen whether or not it's fake, which I don't think it is. If you were to go to YouTube and watch, a cure of heroin from ayahuasca, that goes through a guy's journey. There's a heroin addict that is a user until he goes down there, and he comes back. It never touches it. Hasn't touched it since.
I mean, there's no doubting the spiritual aspects of it.
And why is it hidden from us? That's
Yeah.
another thing, that conspiracy side.
Well,
but
you said it was discovered down in Central America,
South America.
And I mean, if you look at the ancient
been
cultures
doing for thousands of years.
that have been doing it for thousands of years and were known to be doing it for thousands of years, I mean, what's wrong with what they turned into? I mean, they're all building pyramids, aligning them with the stars, sacrificing virgins to the gods, tricking and manipulating the people through religion and theology, their theo-monarchy, a religious-based kingdomship, because they know that the moon is going to eclipse the sun on a specific day, and they trick them all into believing that they're creating that because they haven't. Basically, almost every cult always starts off as a good thing based around hunter-gathering. You know what I mean? Taking care of each other.
What do you mean cult? Like, how did cult come in this? Because that's not a cult thing down there. It's not a cult thing.
Well,
I don't know about the church that does it
I'm talking about the Mayans.
Southwest.
If you look at them from a historical
Oh yeah, but that's different. They did mushrooms. The Mayans were the mushroom eaters.
Well, didn't they do the ayahuasca too?
No.
That was
in
not
Mexico
them.
was the mushroom eaters. The Aztecs? You mean? Oh, the Mayans. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the Aztecs of Mexico were the mushroom eaters.
Okay.
Yeah.
They so and they all, and you look at all their carvings, the Mayans and stuff, you look at all their carvings and it's snakes and serpent gods with wings, and you know what I mean, all this crazy unbelievable things, and they have like these visions of technology and
this
stuff.
weird iconography.
And the people today that take it today have the same exact
type of thing.
Experiences where they all meet
but
this
also
particular
different.
serpent god.
There's from all the accounts that I've heard, I don't know how many you've heard, but a lot of people have that same visionary experience in parts of it, but they are all uniquely different at the same time.
Yeah, because you're like, it takes you within yourself.
And you know what? And if you're struggling, if you're somebody, let me give you an example. If there's somebody that has a person inside them that they know that's there, and they have no idea, and they've been spending most of their adult life, if not all of it, trying to get that person to come out that knows it's there, and it can't. If a psychedelic experience can teach them and show them the way to be their true self, what is wrong with that?
Nothing.
And anything can be demonized. Anything.
I mean, nothing, man. I mean, if you believe that slitting a rabbit's throat on a crystal stone at exactly the midday
Can make your crops grow.
Make your crops grow, then more power to you, man.
Exactly.
No.
But there's this connotation with DMT, if you will. DMT is just the active ingredient in ayahuasca. It's just basically the same
now,
thing.
from what I read, DMT actually is in your body.
Yes.
Okay.
And naturally, all the time.
And what's so weird about it is that it's actually created as you're forming as a baby in your brain, and becomes like encased in like this sacred little pod inside.
And how
your
many
brain.
myths are there about children that can see things that adults can't?
Yeah. Well, you're definitely, in my opinion, closer to God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because we can't see things don't mean they're not there, man.
Yeah. A lot of people do anyway.
And see, there's this connotation, I think, with psychedelics. There's a bad connotation with a lot of psychedelics to uptight people who have never tried any of them.
Yeah.
And as far as the ayahuasca/DMT goes, there's this connotation that you're opening a spirit to something evil. Well, and I could be being trolled here from what, if everything I look at and type in on the computer is being controlled by somebody to troll me. Every experience I've ever saw is a positive one. People come back reformed. And if you're somebody that needs that, it could be good for probably everybody. But if everyone I've seen is a positive experience, it's hard to go through And that's what makes it worth it in the end. That's what they say. That's what's said. Like Graham Hancock does it regularly, a couple times a year. Keeps himself grounded. He was actually addicted to pot. When anybody that smokes pot would be like, "What? What?" And then he got backlash for being for talking bad about it. Well, anything is addictive. Cheeseburgers are addictive. Donuts are addictive.
Yeah.
Anything is addictive. Eating a couch cushion can be addictive, apparently, to some TLC show that I've seen.
Yeah, I see
Now,
that too. That is insane.
But
man.
does that mean that we need to make it illegal, or you know what I mean, or demonize it? It shouldn't be. And I think if you're letting spirits in, dark spirits in during psychedelic experiences, maybe they were there all along, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it caused it. The psychedelic.
Well, and from my experience, and I've had a few
for discussion,
experiences.
just for discussion purpose.
So the very last time that I ever did mushroom, I've done mushroom a couple times.
Yeah, so was I.
And
so have I.
the last time I did it, I had like what I felt was. It was like an awakening, dude. I was just like, it was a reality.
Mm-hmm.
It changed me. Like where I would never do it again, and because
It changed you for the worse then.
well, yeah,
You
I
never
did because
did.
I realized I'll never forget it. I'm down in like my cousin's basement, and we're playing some music, and I'm like just sitting there, thinking, and I realized that like there's this constant Ethernet connection between your soul and whatever you're plugged into.
Your soul and your
and-
consciousness, because two different things.
I like being plugged into like to God, man. I like being plugged into the good. You know what I mean? And I always turn my back on it. I'm always failing. You know what I mean? Life is failure. It's to those who overcome, man. This existence is. But I don't know.
You see, now, what I would say, playing devil's advocate, about your last mushroom trip would be, what was going on in your life? What internal struggles did you have, and what was your environment?
Well, I just felt like when I was sitting there reflecting on that I realized, it dawned on me, I felt like the spiritual door, like my Ethernet cord when I got high on that mushroom, it was like my Ethernet cord was still out there in the spirit world, but it disconnected from God, and it just was kind of floating.
Was it?
And I was like, whoa. I was completely cut off, my spirit man, just for that moment in time. And it was probably literally a half hour. I was completely cut off from God. That's what I felt, honestly.
Yeah, I honestly,
I had no
honestly
communication
believe
with him.
you.
I could not call on him to come in and save me. I could
But
not
was
call on
that
him
your
to come and help
mind
me.
dealing with a? Was that your mind dealing with a regret or a? I lost the word I want to use, but not a disappointment, but from.
Was that a subconscious fear that was already embedded, and I just kind of like
Exactly,
recreated it out of?
and you exemplified it.
See, like.
It could have been. I'm not trying to.
I've
I'm not
had-
trying to tell you should do them again.
No. I'm just saying I've had enough honest to goodness spiritual experiences
So maybe you're good now.
to where like, no, not good. I wouldn't say that.
Well,
but
as far as-
I have a discernment to a certain degree. It definitely needs to be honed, man. It's a dull knife, dude.
Well, I don't think it ever gets. I don't think it ever. Well, it can.
Some
You can
people
hone
get
it,
sharp,
but it
dude.
doesn't ever. Yeah. But it's a constant work in progress. Is what I'm trying to say.
Just like me and you were
Obviously.
talking, like being able to recognize, you know what I mean, right off the bat, being able to size someone up.
Yeah. Their intent. You can
Yeah.
feel their intent. There's
That is
energies.
discernment.
There's
That's
energies.
discernment.
And if you're a Christian and you start talking about energies, a lot of Christians are going to be like hokey pokey, new agey. No, not at the least. Not at the least. That would be discernment. It's just called something different when you say an energy. You can pick up energies off somebody. You know if that somebody is somebody that some of these goth people that you run across, not to judge them, and they're not all like this. But there's just certain people you walk by and you get a creepy feeling. It's the kind of feeling where you pull your kid in closer and you walk by them. That is tangible. That is something. And then there's something where you talk to somebody and you're like, I know this person. From that good part of me to this person feels the same. the good that I feel that's in myself. So the energy thing is one of those like sketchy topics because it has such weird connotations with it. What do you think about that?
I think there's truth to that. I think we do pick up, like a sixth sense. Like,
Yes.
you could have your back to someone and you could feel they're staring at you. You turn around and look, and they are. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and there's been studies that show
Yeah.
that we can do that. Yeah, I have it all the time.
Our bodies definitely give off like these sixth sense, these energies, these vibes. And I do believe a lot of it's electrical. It's in that paradigm. I am an electrical universe.
We are electricity.
Yeah,
that's what makes our body work.
I love the electric universe theory.
Yep.
We need to you look his name up, Electric Universe, whose theory that is, because that guy, everybody needs to look this guy up. Just watch one of his YouTube videos, because it's for some reason it just feels, when you're listening to it, you're like, man, this is it. This makes sense.
Yeah.
This is reality. This is how it's created. Because we do. It's a proven fact. We have electricity flowing through our brains, our bodies, our nervous system, our electrical lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why do you think a shock to the heart will save your life?
Yeah. Like if there's you can walk up to a giant power plant and it's just vibrating with electricity and you can feel it, dude. It's like a force field. And they say Stonehenge and stuff, when you stumble upon that, there's like these there's like a vibe it gives off.
There's manipulation with the minerals of that stone, whether it be highly quartz, with the position it is on the earth. And there's a whole lot that goes into that, folks, that Mike and I both kind of get into, ley lines. And yes, exactly. And that's to be further studied, if able to be scientifically understood and pinned down at all. There may be things, and I got a good feeling about this, that may never be answered, aren't meant to be answered. It's like you said, balance. Like referring to the other thing is finding the balance in life to where those that you're happy and you feel that energy in a balanced way.
Splitting atoms is. Do you think
not natural for humans to do it?
See, that to me was
for humans to do it.
I find it so interesting that nearly simultaneously in two different parts of the world that are at war with each other, that are highly motivated, dude, to create something that can totally annihilate their enemy.
Yes.
All of a sudden, these two individuals on opposite sides of the world, that Ethernet cords are just from birth or through circumstance or through basically free will, whatever it may be, is disconnected from God and it's just floating out there in the ether of the spirit world, their Ethernet cord. Something taps into that thing at that moment, taps into that invisible Ethernet cord and downloads how to split an atom. And the ball rolls from there.
Well, he regretted that.
Because supposedly
when he
the
came up with
Nazis or the Germans
had it, but it wasn't good enough. Yeah.
Actually, were splitting atoms.
Yeah, but it wasn't good enough for them.
At the same time that we were.
That wasn't powerful for them. That was something that we're leaving on the back burner, and they were coming up with.
What's so dirty, dude? When you get into that technology, because it's antimatter. We're all matter. That's the universe we live in. This physical reality is matter. And when you start messing with something that's anti-matter, why would you even want to delve into that, man? And then you hear about like these studies.
Well, it can explain a lot of things.
They exploded the first hydrogen bomb in the atmosphere. They literally didn't know if it was going to catch the entire planet on fire.
Yeah, they had no idea what was going to happen.
Like there was some scientific models that were telling them that the ozone layer would literally catch on fire and burn away and we would all be destroyed instantaneously, the entire planet. And they still chose
to do it. Yeah.
These are the guys
we're meant
that
to,
are in control.
Or is it's obviously part of human nature somewhere deep in there, whether or not every man shows the potential for it. It's human nature to destroy things. We've been doing it since we were here.
Well, the Bible says the wages of sin is death. And for anybody that hasn't read the Bible, regardless if you're a Christian or not, you honestly, I'm telling you, man, It blew my mind. I grew up in the church and thought I had this understanding and grasp of what the Bible was about and the message of God to humanity was. And in my early 20s, I decided, you know what? I've been taught about this book my whole life. I consider it like the greatest work, you know what I mean? Literal piece of work ever. And I've never read it. It just seems stupid to me. I've never. How could you?
I think there's a large percentage of Christians that have never read the Bible.
Well, how dare them, man? You know what I mean?
But I think I could be wrong, but
why would you worship? Why would you try to revolve your moral compass around an ideology that you have only another man's perspective?
Well, there's a lot of there's that nature versus nurture. You know what I mean? And that is the nurture part, or the part that you grew up with. And a lot of people rebel from that. That's where this whole thing about the Catholic schoolgirl comes from.
Whether you rebelled against that or not, whether you believe it or not, it's something that is of historical importance in our society.
Yes, I agree 100%.
So
yeah,
why don't you just read it once?
Yeah.
What's the big deal? Why don't you just read it one time, man? It'll take you, like when I picked it up, I was like, okay, listen, I don't care how long this takes me. This is a big book. This is a thick book. This is intimidating.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm like, I don't care how long this takes. Even if I just read, my limit's 2 pages a day. 2 pages a day.
You eventually get done.
There's 600 pages and 1,200 days
Yeah.
from now. You know what I mean? 4 years, 5. Yeah, I'll be done with this book. But what happens is when you first start reading it, you start off in Genesis, obviously. And when you first start reading it, there's a certain language that's utilized. Archaic. So it's written in somewhat of that perspective, even though it's like a King James version or whatever version you choose, you know, whatever your opinion is on that. It has like a certain flow to it. And when you first start reading it, it's hard. It feels like work.
It's a different language.
Yeah, and you're just like, you kind of get wore out from it, and you're just like, okay,
there's
put it down.
nuances that we don't use in our day-to-day
and what
interaction.
happens, something so interesting happens. After you give it a whirl, and after like however many chapters or whatever, you get the feel for it. There's a flow. There's a feel,
or a spirit, if you will,
and it could be
that guides you.
And it just
through
automatically becomes like second nature, and it's really neat. I mean, that's a whole subject matter in itself. Really, that type of ancient languages and stuff.
And the Bible itself,
or even styles, or reading stuff,
is a
like
whole,
from the
like,
Revolutionary era, with Benjamin
endless
Franklin
topic.
stuff. The English they chose to use, how they put their words together.
Well, and who said
It shows
what can or can't go in
we feel
the New Testament.
Yeah, it seems so dumbed down now when you like read some of these older texts. The way they
It doesn't seem applicable to our day and age.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's so interesting.
So people have a hard time.
But anyway, the Bible. Real quick, back to this. Real quick. I highly recommend everybody read it because let me just take it from my perspective. If you're into the Lord of the Rings, wild stuff, dude. Wild things going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Supernatural,
battles with giants,
scientific,
battles with giants,
sci-fi, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, literally,
magic.
You have
to see magic.
Just to summarize some of the Old Testament to you, you literally have these beings coming down from the heavens, from the stars, and finding favor with the women of earth. Man, they look good. You know what I mean? And having their way with them and creating a whole nother race.
Yeah.
Of beings on this planet that are giants. And the Old Testament, there's this theory out there where people are like, dude, Christians, how can you even take them serious, man? They think the earth is 6,000 years old, dude.
No, we all don't.
Bro, they think the earth is 6,000 years old.
No, not
I'm
everybody
like, no,
does.
they don't,
No.
man. Read the Bible.
There are some.
Well, that's what
no,
the
there
Bible
are some.
Says. But
you know what?
The Bible says. The
there
Bible says.
But 6,000 euros from what?
Well, exactly. But it's 6,000 years possibly of
That's
that
a sentence in
history.
a book that you're referencing.
In Genesis, dude, in the very first book of the Bible, Genesis, it says, when those Nephilim come down, yeah, go ahead. That's fine. No, you can. Hey, smoke a cigarette right here. It's cool. It's cool, man.
We'll do some editing on that.
Yeah.
Now everybody's judging me if that gets in.
When it references. Here's like possibly the most historic. Well, it really is one of the most historic things that have ever taken place on this God's creation, and it's summarized. I mean, these alien beings coming down, the Nephilim, fallen angels, whatever you want to call them,
Or they could be human beings, just not of this earth.
Whatever they are,
Yep.
They come down and they mate with us and create half of them and half of us, which is giant in form, and it summarizes that entire historical event, possibly one of the most historical events that has ever taken place on this rock, the third rock from the sun, okay? And it's written about in one sentence. And then it says,
what's been omitted?
And their offspring, here's the very first book of the Bible for all of those that believe that the earth is really 6,000 years old. If you follow it back from the historical creation of man in Genesis. In that very first book, it says, in one sentence, and their offspring, the Nephilim, the fallen ones, with human woman, and their offspring were the men of legend and lore. Now you got Greek mythology, the men of legend and lore. But it's talking about when you use the word, when me and you say the days of legend and lore, we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years prior.
Definitely thousands, if not tens of thousands.
So
yes.
Here in the very first book, okay, the very first book of the Bible, they're speaking about a race, a historical event, a happening, a giant segment of our history on this rock.
And making mention of it like it's
what
they had for breakfast that morning.
Yes, because the Bible, all it is the first million or so years of this rock that existed.
It's 4.6 billion years old.
That is basically summarized in a few sentences.
Yeah.
It skips right to modern history.
And the whole 7-day thing too, and I think that's misconstrued.
In all
go into that.
In all of the Bible is basically the Old Testament is Lord of the Rings in the beginning, craziness, utter chaos, giants battling, whole entire nations of giants that are claimed. My historical perspective is their God that they worshipped, their deity, their idea of creation from the fallen ones that was handed to them is where the pyramids and all of this comes from. That, in my opinion, the giants. Now, for me and you to have to try to figure out how a human our size of average stature was able to 3,000 to 6,000 years ago pick up a stone that's 90 feet long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like 300 tons that no equipment on this entire planet in 2013
and by the way, Mike,
move.
By the way, people, what Mike is getting into is megalithic structures, and it is a mystery. And, it's a mystery, and somewhere there may be the answer and suppressed. So there's conspiracy inside of conspiracy. Because there's that Lee Edward Skolnick, the guy in Florida that built Coral Castle. He claimed to have the knowledge of how they built the pyramids. He made things as a single man. He was like 5'5", like 100 pounds, and moved coral stone to the equivalent of some of these megalithic structures across the world. And exactly.
The Coral Castle.
That's one of the theories is the giants. There's many, and giants logically makes a whole lot of sense, especially when, like Mike said, it talks about it in the Bible. So people want to take parts of the Bible and say, that's true. But you know what? All that crazy shit about the fucking giants, that's fake. That's a metaphor. Says who?
Well, yeah, you look at, like Steve Quayle. That's a guy. I mean, anybody that stumbles across this, you gotta look up Steve Quayle if you're interested at all in this subject we're talking about right now, because the giants in particular from a Christian perspective. But even to those that aren't Christian, it's going to be super interesting to you because I get a lot of my ideology from him.
Yeah.
But what's so interesting about it is that I really shouldn't say that because after I read the Bible, I really felt like I had this new perspective.
An anointing.
And I was sharing it with all my
right?
friends, and it was something they never heard, and it was like, it was so awesome, man. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And then as the internet became more prevalent, I stumbled across people like Steve Quayle, just by looking up giants because I was so interested in that. And it's just interesting to see how he had already had this ideology, already had books out.
And not to mention the Smithsonian has been taking these giant
they were
skeletons
created,
and
right?
hiding them.
Weren't they created?
And denying that they even ever possessed them.
Yeah, according to Steve Quayle,
that's on record.
The very institution of the Smithsonian was created to deal with the giant
These
problem.
sorts of
But the question out there is why? Why would the powers to be want to hide the existence and reality of the giant? Why? Why?
Yeah. We could theorize all day about why, and chances are you're not going to be told. You and I, guys like you and I, are left to do our own research, have our own spiritual core, and come up with our own sound opinion.
Well, the obvious to me, right, would be they're covering it up because it is really almost exclusively, but not exclusively. There's other ancient accounts of giants.
All across the globe.
Yeah, from different cultures.
Thousands of years, just like Sasquatch.
But the most... probably, well, at least in the Western civilization, the most understood version of the reality of giants is from the Old Testament, the story of David and Goliath.
And then it being misconstrued by academics from different walks of life.
Yeah, he was just a big dude.
Theologians.
King David. Oh, he's a small little guy in stature, and he threw a rock at a guy that was like 6'3" and 200 pounds.
Meanwhile, doesn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I have not read the Bible, but talking about this and knowing a little bit about this, did it not give basically Goliath's measurements?
Yes.
Just like it did with the Ark. They want to say the Ark is a big myth. Well, why in the hell did they go through the trouble of telling you how many cubits it was?
Yeah.
Why did they throw a bunch of math at you?
Yeah. And basically it equivalated out to where in modern standards, the cubit, Goliath was like 12 foot tall. And they talked about his king, that was like the king or the leader over their nation.
It wasn't Nebuchadnezzar, was it?
I believe his name was Og.
Oh, yeah.
He was like 14 foot tall because they give the measurements of his bed. They specifically put that in a story. And King Og's bed was 14,
Yeah, if you're just telling a story about a battle like that,
long.
You're not going to start going into Goliath's father.
No, and
it doesn't add up.
Not coming out and saying, "Oh, he was an unbelievable warrior. Oh, he was a peaceful, loving king. Oh, he was a terrible tyrant." But specifically coming out and saying his king was 14 foot tall.
Yeah.
So hey, before you get carried away and think, "Oh my gosh, Goliath was the biggest man that ever was in the history of mankind on this earth." Oh, by the way, his king was 14 foot tall.
Yeah. And the whole thing about giants too, that a lot of people need to understand that don't know a lot about the subject is way back in the distant past, the atmosphere was different. Atmospheric pressure. That's why they say dinosaurs got as large as they did, and they are living dinosaurs like alligators. Well, they don't get 60 feet long anymore. The atmospheric pressures are different. So, what would it have done to a human-like race or humans if the atmospheric pressure was such and the fauna and flora were of such that it could develop such large creatures? So why is it so far-fetched that that's possible? There's so much evidence leading to that. There's something to it. No one's drawn conclusions, but at least give credence to the evidence that has been given to us so far.
And what's so interesting is that the Nephilim, the fallen race, The whole Old Testament, the giants, the whole Old Testament, the whole Bible, mainly the Old Testament, is a DNA battle.
Yes.
It's a family lineage from the days of Noah. And after every chapter, every story ends going into the next great offspring of this particular family. All the way up to King David, who Jesus is a direct descendant of. It's a family lineage. And people say, oh, well, geez, that sounds just like the monarchies of today. That's horrible. That's how all this rottenness has started. That's where it all comes from. No, not true. That bloodline, Noah was selected because in the Old Testament, God says Noah was selected to be downloaded through his Ethernet cord with the information to build this boat. And it was so powerful, he knew it was from God that he actually did it. Because God was going to destroy the earth. What was I saying, man, dude? I'm trying to make a point here about the DNA. So anyway, yeah, so Noah was selected, and it says, the Old Testament says that he was selected because he was pure in his generations. Okay? Well, automatically the church, I was always raised, Noah was selected because he was pure in his generations, Matt, because he was so innocent. God picked Noah because he was so innocent, man. He didn't steal, he didn't rob, he didn't curse, he didn't swear, he didn't have any impure thoughts.
But did it say that specifically?
It said pure in his generations.
Pure, yes.
And the wording that's used in the ancient Aramaic,
though.
the ancient Hebrew of that era when it was written, it actually has a different meaning from what we've interpreted
Exactly,
it as.
that's what.
Where it's talking
yes.
about his family. He was pure in his family. What it's talking about is when the Nephilim descended down and took favor in women of earth and mated with them, and their offspring became the men of legend and lore. And it got mated down and mixed in, and yeah, his great daddy was a giant, but now I'm only 6'5", 280 pounds. I'm not 12 foot tall. It becomes diluted down. Well, Noah's family was picked because they were still God's perfect creation, dude, from Adam and Eve.
Yes.
His
no
family
deviation
lineage,
in the gene pool.
No deviation. Nephilim never made it. They don't have a great granddaddy that's 12 foot tall. The Nephilim. The interbreeding program. His family, his generation is still part of the original creation. So the whole entire Old Testament is that family lineage. They become kings, they become martyrs, they become warriors, they become it all. And it finally leads up to the Messiah, the chosen one, Jesus. When he was born, he's born out of that lineage. And what's so interesting about him is that he ends up like hanging out with us, and it's basically God morphs himself into a human man. A piece of him, his only son, is how it's claimed. We can't even understand. It's so deep and brilliant.
The Spirit of God became flesh and blood.
Yeah, it became flesh and blood, and he walked among us. You know what I mean? And he had to go through the trials and tribulation. Before his birth, before his creation, the only way you were in the club is if you were pure in generation, man. But there's all these hundreds of thousands of millions of people that are not pure in his generation. But there's still a piece of his generation. There's still a piece in them of the perfect creation. And when he comes down here and walks among us, there were certain things that had to be followed, certain rules and laws and everything. And you had to be of that bloodline to be able to be a chosen one, be in the in club, if you will. When he come down in human form, it says that he spent 40 days and 40 nights in the desert, basically, with Lucifer or Satan tempting him. Okay, well, how do I interpret that? He's going everywhere, man, and he's seeing how hard it is when we're in this fallen state, this creation. The temptations that are out there, the things we have to go through, our fallen state, our sins, the things we have to overcome. He witnessed all that. He got to feel all that. And because of that, he forgave us. And all we had to do is say, hey, listen, man, I am evil. I am half evil. It's just as easy
Well,
as
isn't
for me
that
to
the
sin as
internal
it is
battle?
for me.
A lot of
Yes.
Asians talk about this. This is a multicultural thing that is ancient.
Yes.
The struggle within.
That's it, 'cause
Humans,
it's the truth, yes.
yeah, exactly. We have examples all around us. We have people that choose to do nothing but evil in this world and get locked up in prison or continue to do it. Or we have people that choose to do nothing but good. There's good and bad in everything in this world. Everything. In this world, that does not state God. God is not of this world. He made it, but not of it. Right or no? So everything can be used for bad or good, and that's what the emphasis of balance is with so many ancient belief systems.
True.
And fuck wiki answers, because I type in, you Google largest skeleton ever found.
Yeah.
A whole shitload of stuff comes up to where, like, you got to read too much just to get to your damn answer. How come there isn't just an answer that comes from whatever, Yahoo answer, whatever it's going to be?
Well, that's why you got to go to stevequail.com.
Okay, but I want an unbiased Steve Quayle.
Well, you
answer.
think you're going to get it from? What do you think? The
No,
the
but-
Smithsonian's going to pop
Hey,
up? and say,
well, there was one. When you got these different sites you can click on. One description it said one was 18 foot tall. So, could you call that mainstream? Because that's all I did was type that in. A lot of things that Mike and I are going to talk about in this podcast are considered alternative media, alternative history, and although we don't mind that term, or I don't. At the same time, it suggests that different is sometimes bad to some people. Gives connotation of being bad. No, what you get from mainstream is wrong, and it's manipulation. So, a lot of things that we're going to talk about are going to touch on some of that, and we'll try to do our best to give you our quick, half-witted descriptions of what they may be. But there's validity in a lot of things that we say, or we truly don't feel like we'd be saying it, and it's not off the crazy. It's no more crazy than a metal tube flying through the air in an airplane. How in the fuck does that happen?
Hey,
Does anybody understand that completely? Any layman?
And let's face it, man. There is no podcast out there for the alternative media. Nobody's talking about this stuff. I mean,
No, not at all.
I mean,
Nope.
most of your podcasts, most of the people out there are very serious. They're talking about the mainstream things that are going on. No, we just gotta. It's just us, dude. We're talking to nobody but each other, man. You know what I mean? That's how we look at this. And somebody might dig it, somebody might not. Eventually, we want to get guests on, man.
Are you choosing to stop recording?
No.
Or you just okay. You'll just edit.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you went.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is too. It is just shooting the shit. The podcast is just shooting the shit, and it is just for us and just us listening to it right now, or speaking it rather. But who knows? You know what I mean? 6 months from now, there could be an 18-year-old kid that don't know what the hell he wants to do with his life, and is bored as shit of everything that they teach you and indoctrinate you in school, and he hears this podcast, and he starts alternative research, and he makes Finding Giants mainstream. You never know. The universe is too big to say that it's just you and I. If you want to get all
the movie. All big things have small beginnings.
Exactly. And that's a fucking brilliant line.
It is.
That's a fucking brilliant line. Some of the movies out now, yes, are so they're just so you can just you can see, or at least I can see that, you know what? It looks like bullshit, but this shit could be real. Or it's already real and they just haven't let you know yet.
What are you talking about, Prometheus?
Just a lot of the science fiction movies that come about now. Like, you look back, like, I love the new Galaxy, Samsung Galaxy Watch commercial. Because it goes through, like, Spock and and then it goes to a girl going, I'll be right there. And And you and I who grew up with, there was no cell phone. It was that big ass bag phone that nobody had unless it was going to make you money for your self-made business.
Now, is that
Or you were trading on Wall Street.
is that watch a legitimate phone?
Yes.
Now, wouldn't it be better? I mean, yeah, the phone's fine. You can do it
And
with
fuck
phone.
Google glasses.
It would
Because
be
I would
cool
rather
if
wear a
that-
phone,
but
be a
it'd be
chode and
cool.
wear a phone than the glasses.
It would be cool if that watch though was just like a walkie-talkie type deal, where it's people specific. Like it's just
You
your
can do that
family.
too. There's apps for.
Yeah.
There's apps for. Well, you got Nextel. Nextel kind of went out. Well, there are apps for Android, and I don't know about iPhone because I use Android, but that have the walkie-talkie feature. And
It's just,
I don't see why you couldn't do it with that. You
I
will
just
be
don't
able
see
to.
myself with the watch. It's never. I mean,
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, because I don't see myself. Like,
I'm not going to get one.
Could you imagine everybody on a commuter train, instead of having a phone, their elbows gently tucked up against their belly, their phones up to their ear. Everybody's got their arms sticking up. You know what I mean? Speaking
Yeah.
into their hair.
But you know what else is
Honey, I'm coming home with
I
the
gotta
groceries.
imagine. I don't know that much about it, but it's got a headphone jack. So you just plug your headphones in, just like you would with your phone.
Yeah, but
and you may
now
have to have
it's
your
down
phone
your
on you.
sleeve,
It
huh?
might be. It might be. Well, yeah, it would be connected there. You know
Or
what it is
Bluetooth or
it's a
something.
beginning. They're always pushing forward, and Samsung is excellent at this.
Yeah, they're.
And it's the South Koreans, dude. They
I
make
know,
LG and they make Samsung.
They do.
And they've surpassed Apple now. So
they got quality. They do some quality.
those South
stuff,
Koreans
man.
got it going on.
Yeah, they do.
They do, man. It's
Hey,
just
see,
it's
we
a
love the
beginning
new,
of something.
That's the new world order. See, we're
Hey,
just spreading
hey,
democracy.
when
We're spreading the capitalism, man.
Per that commercial, when you and I were kids, we never would have thought there would have been that phone that that there is now, that Samsung Galaxy phone.
Yeah.
Or watch phone. Now, what's going to be next? Everything grows exponentially, meaning
you
it
think-
just gets faster and faster and faster
Don't
and
you
faster.
think it's interesting that, like, when we were younger, it was all about everything getting smaller. Like, we could envision the phone's just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
Isn't it like an Austin Powers
Until it
movie
turned into a
where
computer.
His cell phone's like literally
Yep.
the size of
Yeah.
like a micro
It's one of
machine
those
car. He's
keychains that
like,
are lighter
"Ew,
that
ew."
you get from your 7-Eleven. Yeah.
But actually, it's gotten like the technology
Because-
has gotten bigger because of screens.
Because it's
and
it's gotten bigger because of the screen, but
Multimedia
the phone
device.
went from a phone to a computer.
Yeah,
It is a
yeah,
computer
it's a
first.
computer, yeah.
Yeah. The stats are out now that cell phone usage on smartphones is one of the least used features. It goes texting and then internet use.
well, everything's going to be a phone.
So-
that's my. Here's my prediction. Future prediction. It already is going that way. It's not
watch
even-
the earpiece.
Everything.
Watch the
Everything's-
earpiece? Yeah.
Your watch is a phone. Your iPod's a phone.
Well-
your computer's a phone.
Well, it
Everything-
is, as long as you have
your
internet connection
earpiece
and a
is gonna
camera.
interconnect with it. You're just going to wear
Yeah.
this little earpiece all the time, and they're eventually going to try to make it be a chip that's in you. And most of us are going to say, "Nah."
And Mike and I are going to be the first ones to say, fuck you, cunts.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything in my body because that's too invasive. You made this.
I don't trust you.
I mean, we already know the Bluetooth is frying our
Oops,
brain,
mercury was in
basically.
vaccinations. Well, 15 years from now,
Oopsie-daisy.
what's in that cell phone they haven't told you about?
Oh,
What's in that?
dude.
You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of people don't think that way, man. They got that thing up to there all the
Well,
time.
no, they think because if it passed all the regulations and it got passed,
Too much trust.
yeah,
Trust no one.
That the government cares about them, that they love them so much. I mean, dude, look, the government does love you so much. It loves you so much. It wants your teeth to be white. It wants your teeth to be hard. You know what I mean? And powerful. So they put fluoride in your water. because they love
Which
you.
doesn't even, by the way, isn't even proven to do that.
Well, I think there's a certain form of fluoride that they have proven scientifically that it does actually helps with the enamel of your teeth or whatever. But that isn't even the fluoride they're putting in the water, though. It's the bad kind that they're putting in it.
Yeah.
I mean, just
not the naturally occurring.
okay. you
It's the
think
byproduct.
conspiracy.
It's
They
the
probably-
byproduct
there's somebody
of
listening to things that's a
of
conspiracy
industrial
theory.
waste.
Just think about this. Just this one perspective. Think about this. Go grab your Crest toothpaste bottle. Flip around the back and it says harmful if swallowed. Okay.
Sodium fluoride.
Harmful if swallowed.
But you're going to put it in your mouth and
But
let
you
it
can
secrete
put
into
it
your mucous
into
membrane.
the municipal water system and disperse it into everyone's home to drink
Yes.
and bathe in and shower in. Okay? Feed your kitty with. That on the back of the toothpaste bottle says harmful if swallowed, but it's okay to swallow it if it's in your water. Well, then people will argue, they'll say, well, that's because doesn't it specifically specify that more than the size of a pea? Or isn't it at that dosage of toothpaste if swallowed it's harmful? Okay, there's probably...
Well, there's no dosage in the water because everybody drinks a different amount of water. And also the study shows...
Dude, if I piss in that pool, there's 30 kids swimming in that pool, and I piss in it, the 6 kids on the left hemisphere of the pool might end up bathing in my piss, and the 6 kids...
No, it spreads faster than that. They all will be.
It doesn't spread
the
evenly.
Dispersion, no, but the dispersion rate...
evenly
within
dispersed.
5 minutes, for every 10 molecules, there'll be a piss molecule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to go on about the fluoride thing, well, we won't go too long on that because it's just one of those things, and
Plus,
we can
gotta
revisit
wrap this
it.
up.
We can revisit it. Well, there's studies that show that ingesting fluoride serves no purpose in the teeth. Topically, maybe, meaning you just brush your teeth with it. But drinking it, there's none. There's none. So why put something in your body that might?
I know. Probably to make you smarter. Make you more alert, smarter, help you out. Is that why they would put it in there?
Possibly.
All right, man, let's wrap this up. You want to wrap this up? You want to say
Yeah,
goodbye?
we'll wrap it up a little beta test, and it's a good jump off point. So we'll tighten our shit up, and
I think it went.
and we'll
I think
see.
it went pretty good, don't you?
Well, it was us. Of course, it went good. We'll do a bad one, our 5th one in or something when we think you got this thing down, and when we fix our couple of issues, maybe be a little better and be able to cite little things more than being opinion. And once this is uploaded, hey, even the trolls, fuck you if you are a troll, but your feedback's welcome, and it will be taken into consideration. And
all 2 of you.
And
all 2 of you listening.
Exactly.
Me and you. Hey,
you know what?
Listen.
2 now, it might be 1,000 4 years from now.
No, listen, dude. Me and you, what we're going to do is, I'm telling you right now, we're going to upload this to YouTube. And like once every other day, we're going to each go on there on YouTube and say, hey, man. And we're going to see each other's counts, making it go up. And we're going to be like, dude, it's going up. Sweetie, look at, man, 16 people listen to our podcast, man. Look at this.
And we're going to go, oh, shit, it was us. Or it might be our old ladies laughing at us saying, yeah, that's why we went shopping.
Oh.
But there's so much to talk about in this world that this is just an open forum for regular people to express their opinion and to spread what they think is the truth, or just information at its least, whether it's your truth or not, to give you an open mind and maybe think about something a little different. And if you find that we're wrong, you may find something inside of you that's right through that. And that's all we want here.
That's it. Till next time.
I get so
Peace out, bitches.